welcome all of you. Nice
Yeah.
to meet you.
Thank you very much, Harold. Today I met with the National Board of Convocations, Association of Convocations and Alumni, which is a very new organization. They will be in a better place to explain, but it's an important structure because it seeks to bring together all alumni associations to have a national coordination and interaction. The meeting was convened at the request of the board itself, just to brief me about the initiatives that it would be undertaking in the higher education sector. I do need to say that when I took over as minister, one of the things that struck me when we compare ourselves with other countries is that the higher education sector, its key constituencies, were very poorly organized. For instance, an organization like this is standard in many countries. You know, alumni, they play a very important role. That is why some of the institutions that we initiated or assisted to form, as part of making sure that we've got strong organization of key constituencies, was, for instance, the University Council Chairs Forum. There was no such structure before, as well as the national structure of the TVET college students. That is why we welcome this, because it helps in terms of having meaningful dialogue within the sector itself. The board has already met with the Council for Higher Education, which also took the opportunity to brief them about the latest developments in the higher education sector. Though they will be speaking for themselves in this meeting, I welcome the fact that the board meeting, which was held September,
Yes, the 5th of September.
on the 5th of September, took some very important resolutions. For instance, they condemned the ongoing destruction of university property and the disruption of teaching and learning. The meeting urges university management and student leaders to approach the fees discussion with an open mind. That's what they decided. They also decided that convocations and alumni associations must play a mediating role in areas of dispute, especially between students and university management. And that also convocations and alumni associations must encourage past NSFAS recipients to make payments on their loans so as to contribute towards funding of needy and deserving students. Private sector also, they took a decision, must play a more meaningful role in higher education, such as building infrastructure and providing funding to cover the student fee shortfall. And that also convocations and alumni are expected to play a leading role in fundraising in order to build and maintain university infrastructure for generations to come. I welcome the briefing that they gave me, which will go a long way in ensuring that alumni and convocations take their rightful place in what they call the higher education ecosystem. This, I must say, is really a welcome initiative, which will make sure that alumni play an active role. And also the fact that this body also supports the interim measures that we've taken in terms of fees for next year as something that is in the right direction. I have also urged in our meeting that the board must make its voice heard in ending the current wave of violent protests that are taking place on some of our universities. And that also alumni should go and participate and give their own proposals to the Presidential Commission that is dealing with fees. And we also resolved in our meeting that we will support the structure, and we will work with the board to improve and promote the culture of learning in higher education. And the board also was very pleased. They committed that they're going to be engaging student representatives in their own respective campuses to try and contribute towards stability and to end the current wave of violent protests. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
I'm going to hand over to Mr. Samuel Azondi, who is the chairperson and the convener, to also put.
Okay. Thank you very much. I greet you all members of the media. I greet the public. I greet you, Minister. Thank you so much. We indeed, as the Minister has alluded, we had a really fruitful discussion with the Minister. We came really to brief him about the National Board of Convocations and Alumni. We had our first meeting on the 5th of September 2016 at the University of KwaZulu-Natal at the Westview campus. And really the idea behind the meeting was to coordinate all convocations and alumni associations in South Africa. Because when we looked, convocations were the only structure, convocations and alumni associations were the only structure in the higher education ecosystem which were not properly organized and coordinated. We therefore saw a need to come together as convocations and alumni to have a meeting and discuss the ongoing fee discussions. So the primary task of the interim board is to create a solid foundation for the National Association, which includes, among others, but not limited to, the drafting of the legal framework, setting up the national office of the National Board of Convocations and Alumni Associations, coming up with the name and logo, coordinating all convocations and alumni from all universities in South Africa under one umbrella body. We will, as the national board, we will speak and act on behalf of all convocations and alumni in South Africa. But most importantly, we have a role and a responsibility to engage all stakeholders within the higher education ecosystem, namely the CHE, the students, which is the South African Union of Students South, to engage University South Africa, which was formerly known as HISA, to engage BUSA and all other stakeholders within the higher education ecosystem. Just to take you through some of the things that were agreed on as the national board, which the minister has alluded to some, we as the national board, we fully welcome the statement by the minister. The national board respects the fact that in terms of the existing law, fee adjustments are conducted, or rather determined by university councils. The autonomy of universities is guaranteed in the Higher Education Act and other pieces of legislation. We support the pronouncement that students who come from households with a collective income of 600,000 or less be exempted from fee increments. We note the announcement of 600,000 threshold has gone way, in our view, has gone way above the poor and working class medium income bracket, and included the middle class, thus covering what is often called the missing middle. We welcome the commitment from government to pay the fee adjustment, as this will bring much needed relief to parents who are in occupations that do not earn huge salaries and who have children at universities. We urge beneficiaries of NSFAS who are now employed to negotiate with the board of NSFAS to make repayment in order to benefit those that are still to come into the system. We condemn strongly condemn the destruction of university property and the disruption of teaching and learning. Those, in our view, in our discussions as the board minister, we felt strongly that those that are caught, who are caught destroying university property, should face the full wrath of the law, as this behavior should never be condoned, because in essence it destroys the future of those that are still to come into the university system. We strongly urge students to return to class in order to prepare for their examinations so that they can graduate and contribute to the growth of the South African economy. We urge everyone to rather now, going forward, Minister, to focus their energies on the Presidential Commission, which is seized with the task of finding a sustainable solution around this issue of fees in South Africa. And we feel strongly, Minister, that students should go back to class and teaching and learning should not be disrupted so that students are able to graduate and therefore contribute meaningfully to the growth of the economy. We must say as well, we do support the call, Minister, for free education for the poor only, and we believe government through the Ministry of Higher Education and Training is moving in the right direction to ensure this is realized. We are going to, as the national board, we are going to actively play a role in negotiating and mediating between students and university management across all universities in South Africa. We are also going to negotiate and mediate with the Ministry of Higher Education and Training to ensure that we bring much needed stability, Minister, and calm necessary for teaching and learning to continue in all our universities. So with those few words, I will end there, and then we will obviously take questions that may come from yourselves, and we hope to answer those questions in as comprehensive a way as possible. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. The panel, as I said, I've already introduced it. It will take the questions from different media. Let's have them and take them in the set of three, Lorenzo, Barry, and let me take on the side, and then I'll come to you after, please.
My name is Nzimande from ENCA. I've got a series of questions, and I just want to understand, chronologically how this happened. So, the board had its first meeting on the 1st of September, you said.
Yes.
And you are yet to meet up with students, correct?
Mm.
So my question is, wouldn't it have been wiser for you to meet up with students and then come to the minister with, solid sort of suggestions? And also, Mr. Zondi, I'm really confused about how you say, the fact that, so you've met with students, you will be, well, we assume you will be contributing to the fees commission and so forth. But yet, you haven't met with students, and that's my biggest concern. Do you not feel like you basically jumped a certain very critical stage? And also, what are you going to be saying to these students when you meet up with them? And this is also a question to you, Minister. What different, you said that you're going to be engaging with different stakeholders to try and find a solution to this impasse, but anything different that you've heard from this board? And also, why wasn't this board formed initially when we had the first, sort of a student unrest with regards to these fees? Why is it only coming now? Is it not a bit too late? Because we're finding ourselves at a critical stage where students are obviously demonstrating and they're not wanting to go back to class.
Okay. Barry?
Good morning, Minister and Delegation. Barry Bateman, Eyewitness News. It's been noted by various vice chancellors such as Adam Habib. I think we've seen it from Jonathan Jansen. We've seen public commentators such as Justice Malala. And Minister, even in your statement you issued earlier today regarding the VIT worker who has passed away, that we've got a very vocal, very violent minority which is holding the majority of students to ransom through what they're doing. Now, there's a lot of talk of we're going to continue engaging, continue negotiations, but you're dealing with a group who has self-identified as saying they're not going to negotiate. They've put the demand on the table, 0% or free education tomorrow, or else we continue the shutdown. They've said no negotiations. So the question is, when are we going to get to a situation when university management and the SAPS unapologetically defends the rights of that majority so they can go to class and continue studying, and this minority is dealt with decisively?
Thank you, Barry.
Good day, Minister. Good day, everyone. My name is Johnny Sai. I'm with African News Agency. Just my question was more like the colleagues asked again. The issue of the students, some of them, when we speak to them, they've made it clear that they cannot negotiate, the non-negotiable. How then do you say you want to negotiate with folks who say they are not ready to negotiate any further from now? They just want zero fees and no negotiations. Thank you.
Thank you. Minister?
Yeah. I didn't quite understand how the first question related to me,
It was
rather than my...
It was a series of questions. Should I repeat?
No, just which one do you want me to answer?
What's different that this board has told you that you haven't heard before?
No, let me first say this. The board is new, but alumni associations are old. What the two gentlemen didn't say when they were introducing themselves is that he is the chairperson of the
Alumni,
CPUT, Cape Peninsula University of Technology. And they will tell you they've been part of engagements in their respective campuses. He's chair of UJ, University of Johannesburg alumni. So what is new is the board, that is the collaboration at national level. But these alumni associations have been existing, and it's something that we take very seriously as government. It so happens that they decide to form this national initiative. Now, it doesn't start now in September. They did a lot of work in preparation, to actually arrive at where they are. But they can speak better for themselves. All what I want to say on my side is that national organization in the higher education sector representing different constituencies is absolutely important. In fact, I want to say that I have been telling the Vice Chancellors since I was first appointed as a minister since 2009 that one thing that I am concerned about higher education, there are no places for dialogues at national level, for macro issues that cuts across the sector amongst the various stakeholders. There isn't. It's only us as government who call summits. I've called 2 summits. That has been the only platform. And I'm concerned that you can't have stakeholders waiting for government to convene summits. Secondly, there are no national or biennial conferences like it happens in many countries, convened by stakeholders to discuss broad policy issues, for instance. All these things of insourcing and so on are things that stakeholders should have been engaging around and discussing and identifying what the issues are. Precisely for that, that's why I welcome the emergence of another crucial sector, which represent past students, because that's what alumni is. Past students and academics from various universities who are now have decided to form a national organization. I hope that, let me just answer these other questions and then I will hand over. Barry, you are right. We have said to universities, protect life and limb. We now have the first casualty, the worker at Wits University. And that has precisely been my fear, as I say in my statement that I just released earlier, that some of these elements, in fact, do not care for life. And they want these to happen in order to fuel the situation. We have agreed with my colleagues in the security cluster in cabinet that they need to protect life and limb. And also we've said to the vice chancellors, do not hesitate to protect life and limb. And where the situation gets out of control, they should close the universities in order to protect them. You know, now we are over 600 million, Chief, rands of destruction since the start of the fees must fall. We are chasing $1 billion in property that has been destroyed over the last year. And that we cannot afford. That is why also, by the way, is not only stakeholders. Oh, you were asking me what difference it's going to make. Look, I am working now towards a mini-stakeholder consultation. All the stakeholders that have been consulting I want to bring them under one roof, including the students, to say, let's end this mayhem. Because now clearly there is a political agenda. It can't be that last year many or all student formations accepted the establishment of the Presidential Commission. Now all of a sudden they are going back on the same demand and say we want free higher education. Some are saying free higher education for all, which is not possible and it's not government policy. And we are not going to change. We are not going to pay for the children of those who can afford and the children of the rich. And now some of them are saying, well, we want free higher education for the poor now. Why do they go back? Because there is a process of the commission that is actually did. In short, there is absolutely no reason for this protest. That is why we are urging students to go back. And we are also urging the majority. Why are you allowing yourselves to be held hostage by a minority of violent students and allow your careers to be destroyed? Is it not time for those students to actually stand up and say, no, not in our name? That would be my response to that part of the question.
That's right. Yeah. Thanks very much. My name is Mbalim Konto. I'm the current president of the University of Johannesburg Convocation. I'm the interim board member. Just to introduce myself, I'm the caring citizen of this country, and I believe that as leaders in educational sector, we do have a responsibility to really step in around the issues that are facing higher education. But just to respond to your question, my sister, regarding the why then the board now, because I think you deserve more answers to that. Let me simplify this. Our existence is not only for fees must fall. I think that must be clarified. When we met on the 5th, there were almost 20 presidents of Convocation and Alumni, meaning we constituted the legitimacy of this structure that we are having today. But we met realizing that there are many issues that we believe that at higher education they can begin to be addressed. So it's beyond the fee issue. But we believe that the main topic now, which I think that every citizen must take it upon themselves, that if ever there is an argument around the statement made by the minister, what could be the exact argument, let alone the fact that there is now a presidential commission that has not concluded its work. So we did not, as convocation boards, expected the minister to say 0% when he made his announcement. We did not expect that, because we believe that we cannot build or heal our nation if we continue with business as usual. People must realize that certain things, they take time. It's a process that must be followed, a process that must be respected. If we are saying free education right now, what I am going to ask you is a simple basic question. We are sitting with a problem where those that are poor are affected by this situation. Universities are being closed, they are going home. Who is going to really suffer at this dilemma? I mean, those are the poor of the poorest. Those are the main people that are going to suffer from this dilemma. But we are saying, we believe the poor deserve free education. But did we expect the minister to say 0 fee increment, 0%? We did not expect that. We believe that at some point there will be a free education. That's why the Presidential Commission is set for that. And we are saying young people must not be deprived education. But we do not agree with the violence taking place in all universities.
Maybe before you get off the platform, can you also relate some of the work that you've been doing at the University of Johannesburg in assisting?
Yeah, maybe the other issue that needs to be perhaps factored in, so that we believe that, so that we get to understand why we want to exist, and we exist for a good cause, and we believe that also media should assist us in being positive about this, because it's all our country. We need to really take responsibility for what is happening. If you keep burning the buildings of the universities where our children are going to study, There's nowhere else they are going to go. But just to relate to you, we believe that presidents of convocation will have a meaningful role in getting the student leaders, making sense to them, to say, let us reason. Go and strike, it's your right, but strike with legitimate information. Have the right information to strike. Because I believe that right now the information is scattered all over. If you ask someone, some of the student leaders, what are you then striking for? Because are you then preempting the outcome of the presidential commission? Those are some of the things that we believe there is a vacuum. And now we are beginning to realize that perhaps the political agenda that we believe in is factoring in might not assist the country at all. So we do believe that we can make a meaningful contribution as presidents of convocation. That's why the board is interim. We are not there to stay. We are there to say the country must go forward. We want to build a nation, but we cannot build under a blind eye like this.
Yeah, thank you. Just perhaps to answer your question more directly, when you said, why haven't we consulted students? Now, in the first meeting that we spoke about on the 5th of September, in fact, it was quite a broad meeting. It was an inclusive meeting. We had the CEO of the CHE, Prof. Narend, who actually gave an input to the meeting. We had invited students. We invited students, South African Union of Students, who, in our view, basically are the national structure that represents all universities in South Africa. So, in our view, we had done thorough and comprehensive consultation, and we were quite satisfied coming out of the meeting on the 5th of September that we've consulted broadly. We've had an input from the point of view of the CHE, and we'd had an input from the point of view of the CHE. This board that we have is an interim structure for now, for the first 18 months. And the primary role, as I said, of this structure is to establish a permanent national association of alumni associations and convocations, right? So the existence of this board goes way, it's over and above the existing discussion around fees, right? There are issues of common interest that we would want as the board to discuss with the minister over and above the ongoing discussion of fees. So the existence of the board is very important because what it does, it coordinates and organizes all convocations and alumni associations in South Africa from all universities. So it's a very, and convocations, by the way, and alumni associations are a critical stakeholder in the higher education ecosystem, right? Students are organized, and other stakeholders within the ecosystem are properly organized and coordinated. And convocations were the only structure that were not properly coordinated. So therein lies the reason for the existence of this structure. So it's very important, and it will continue to engage with the minister, but not only the minister, other stakeholders as well. Because it's important that we find common ground around issues of contention. But even those issues that are not of contention, Minister, it's important that we formulate a common agenda to benefit society and to benefit the country as a whole.
Thank you very much. We'll start with SAPC. Any other questions?
What was the question?
What was your question? Sorry?
I asked Sandile that these students are saying that they are not ready to negotiate. So
Well,
in your intervention,
Okay, we'll answer that as part of the questions. They said that they're negotiating from the point of, say, free education or nothing. So we'll answer that as part of the questions.
Hi, yes. Gentlemen, news. There's a couple of questions actually. First one for the board. With all due respect, all that you mentioned here, the call for no violence, students must go back to class, we've had it all before. Various sectors of society have called on the students to go back to class and no violence, but they are still continuing. So what new idea are you bringing on board that's going to change the situation? What is going to make the students listen to you when they haven't listened to any of the other stakeholders that have come on board to call for the situation, to call for cuts? And Minister, you mentioned about the losses that are now amounting to almost $1 billion, over 600 million. Who's talking that deal? Is it a combination of you as the minister and the universities themselves? And recently we've had Nzimande Mandela saying, the promise, the ANC government promise of free education was an impossible one. To agree with that statement. And lastly, also for you, Minister, we have Rhodes University and UCT saying that if this protest continues if we are not open by next week, then we are considering shutting down for the whole year. So something has to give. It can't go on like this. So it seems like leadership is needed and that a solution must come involved. Because the students are, standing firm that zero, no free education. So what's going to happen eventually? Thank you.
When the minister spoke, and also one of the board members spoke, both of you did speak on several times about the political agenda. If you can be quite explicit, what political agenda do you sense exists? Two, also one of the board members said it seems as if they sense there's a vacuum with the students what they're protesting for and how they interrogated, if they interrogated the report of the minister. What vacuum do you think is there that students have not dealt with? Because surely most of them, when we interview them on the street, they say they do have legitimate concerns why they're going to the street. That calls on how to consult with them.
That's question.
Peter from Jacaranda. Minister, my question actually relates to one of my colleagues. I just wanted to know, you mentioned earlier in response to another question that you'd like to get everyone under one roof for discussion. I just want to know exactly that is, when are we going to see something like this? I mean, obviously 2017 is around the corner and exams are before that. I'm sure that the department would like to resolve the impasse of the conflict before anything like that, before exams are missed or before the next year starts off.
Okay. Minister?
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah. Babu Stirma, we are asking a very important question. Who is going to pay for all this destruction? Well, for poor universities, it's government. It's your money as taxpayers. Well, maybe for rich universities, we can strike some kind of understanding. Government will have to contribute even to the richer universities, but they may have some of them. This is really unfortunate because it means we will have to take money that was supposed to do new things and to assist students to actually go and repair. That is why we feel very strongly as government that the people who are continuing to do this, claiming that they are doing it for the poor, they are lying. Because if you are destroying now, you are actually depriving the poor. These are resources that are supposed to be assisting the poor. Now we have to redivert money that also would have taken to assist the poor and the working class to go and rebuild buildings that were already there before they were destroyed. Which links to this question of a political agenda. This is an anti-ANC government agenda by elements who could not be able to win power through the ballot box, and they want to discredit the ANC. You see, some of these ultra-left academics, they were part of Marikana, for instance. They were behind fueling the inter-union rivalry between AMCU and the NUM. They were the masterminds, some of them. Already at that time, we were warned that the next underbelly of government is student fees. They are the same ones who are standing, speaking eloquently, saying there must be free education for all. So we must fight this government. It's an ultra-left, old ultra-left elements, Trotskyites, who have never really had political power in South Africa, they claim to be fighting against the capitalist class. They never lift a finger against the bosses. Instead, when they lift a finger, they say, fund the children of the rich. Why should the rich have a 0% increase when they can afford to pay? So that's the agenda. It's an anti-ANC agenda. It's directed at destabilizing and discrediting this government. That's what it is at the heart of it. That's why also you'll have the EFF there. So it's not something hidden. I'm sure you know it yourselves, But it's unfortunate that some of those forces and structures who work with the ANC, some of them, are being misled into this. That is why because we've all agreed with our structures to say there is no reason to be protesting at this point in time. So that would be my answer to that. No, Umamwin is enjoying her 80th birthday, Bantu. And we also take this opportunity as the department to say, happy 80th birthday, Ma. So I wouldn't like to be responding to Umamwin. She's too important for us, for me to be doing that. Especially to respond to her on the basis of what I have read in the media. I'm not saying you guys, you don't reflect, but sometimes the way you write and the nuance, it may be interpreted in this way, which may not be the correct way. So I would rather not go to. We don't want universities to shut because they are too important. We also want students to finish their 2016 academic year and write, and hopefully pass. We don't want the universities to close. But what do you do if you start getting casualties and this destruction of property? There is no other choice. We will support the universities who are saying that they are shutting them down and actually taking students out of the residences in order to save this important asset from this violent minority. Because they are violent, because they don't have the support of the majority of the students. And also, we would like to plead, I know this is like throwing water on the back of a duck sometimes. The media can't just report neutrally where there is destruction of property. You can't say, what are you going to do? Because the students, they say they are going to continue to destroy property. As if you agree with that. You should be on our side as South African media to say, but this is out of order. Not all of media is doing that. Some of them have begun to say through editorials that this is not acceptable. So don't ask us neutrally when it comes to violence. Media has to condemn violence. You can't be throwing it back at us. So, Minister, what are you going to do? The students are going to be more violent. That can't really be a question. The question is, how should we all together be working towards protecting this? You see, this thing is very serious. You see, I get these photos every day from some of the universities. Buildings on fire. You can't say that there is a student agenda there in terms of burning and destroying. And this barbarism of burning books and journals or documents that are 100 years old, that you can never ever recover them, that's barbarism. You can't say that there is anything that is actually legitimate about that. Now, I want to do this within a week, at the latest by Monday next week, that I have got everybody. When I say everyone, representatives, it's students, it's vice chancellors, it's workers, it's faith communities, it's traditional leaders, their representatives, because all these have an interest in education and in protecting education in our country. So that is what, and then let everybody say, how do we bring this to an end? Every South African should actually be thinking about that and wanting to contribute towards that.
Thank you, Minister. Look, we, as the board, we support the initiative and the plan by the Minister to have a stakeholder forum, an inclusive stakeholder forum where all are represented. And one thing that I want to stress, and the Minister has touched on it, this is not the Ministry of Higher Education problem. This is a societal problem. That's why all of us as stakeholders in the higher education system are coming in to say, how can we assist in mitigating the challenges that are confronting the higher education sector as a whole? Right? That is why, for an example, even people outside of the sector, like your priests and traditional leaders, are now starting to enter the fray, and they are saying it cannot go on as normal. That students are burning down buildings, they are destroying libraries, and they are burning books. It's not normal. So It's everybody's problem. And as a board, we plan to play a responsible role, right, in negotiating and mediating between students and universities. And I agree with you. Some will listen to us, some will not listen to us, but we cannot throw our hands and say we stop there, Minister. We must continue to persuade students that the destruction of property is not on and it can't continue, because in essence, when you destroy property, you are killing the future of those that are actually poor and those that are still outside of the university system. So it's not a, so it won't be an event where we speak to them and they stop. Certainly some will resist, but we are quite certain that over time, through engagement and dialogue, meaningful dialogue, we are going to be able to really bring sense and instill a sense and a sense of responsibility, because these rights that we have, Minister, come with some certain level of responsibility. And in this particular instance, that responsibility is to protect university infrastructure and to make sure that teaching and learning in our universities continue without any hindrances, without any problems, for the benefit of society, for the benefit of South Africa as a whole.
Let me just add one thing, Harold, sorry, that I forgot. We really would like to call upon parents to stand up and work with us to really stabilize the situation. That is why we also appreciate the words of the Right Archbishop Thabo Makgoba when he's calling upon an end to this destruction and for the students to go back to class. As well as King Goodwill Zwelithini also, he's adding on the parents to come forward and emphasizing this thing. The President's statement also has sent a very important message. We would therefore like to see more of our leaders in different parts of our country, of our society, to actually stand up and say, this must come to an end.
Thank you very much. That's the end of the media briefing. Thank you very much. We still have another engagement. Another pressing questions? Okay, I'm only seeing two hands. I'm taking those two hands as the pressing hands. We still have another engagement. Lorenzo, yourself.
Minister, I just wanted to find out, I mean, with the 600 million rand price tag, you've said that the taxpayer will obviously pay in poor universities. Do you know how many of those exist? And also,
how many?
These poor universities would have to be, subsidized or funded to really replace the property that has been destructed. And also, I wanted to find out, do you envisage? Yeah, it is one question. It's just a bit long. Do you envisage that, because some universities are yet to make a determination on how much they're going to be increasing their fees, do you envisage that this would actually add on to them increasing their fees to a certain percentage, because they have to make up for this money that has obviously gone to waste?
Sipoma Bena for the Times newspaper. Minister, you've said many times that you know who's stoking the fires, and you've just said it yourself here and singled out EFF as one of the ultra-left organizations that are behind. So what are you doing about it? Are there steps that the government is taking, because this amounts to the issue of national security, when now we have lives that are lost and 600 million worth of destruction property? Thank you, sir.
If I can start with the last one, we urge, and we are working with law enforcement agencies, and we've also said this to our universities, that those who destroy property, they must be dealt with. That is why I was so happy to see that one magistrate in Pietermaritzburg remanded in custody 7 suspects, because they must know that they will actually pay the price for these things. We would like to see law enforcement agencies acting very firmly, irrespective of who is involved. Now, I can tell you that most of our universities are not rich, by the way. Most of them. They are not rich at all. But there are those that we classify as historically disadvantaged, which are how many? 8, that are in a worse position. By the way, without diverting Harold, the importance of alumni. You know, Harvard University alumni, they raise $1 billion a year. That's alumni leading. UCT uses its alumni actually to raise quite a lot of money. They even have a representative in the US, I discovered recently, to play this role of actually raising money. That I just thought I need to mention, because alumni is not just about fees must fall. Alumni is also to assist our universities. I always complain, I'm former University of Zululand student, but I've never received a letter which says, are you willing to contribute 500 rands a month or 1,000 rands a month to work towards you? So alumni, we expect and convocations to be active also on the fundraising front. No, I can't say that therefore universities will increase fees even more because of this. Because we hope that they will accept the framework that we've set. I don't want you to come out with a headline. Fees are going to increase even more because of this distraction. No, I can't speak for the universities. They are the ones who make those decisions. But I am hoping that they will stick to the framework for 2017, that they voluntarily also said they will respect it, of not more than 8%.
Thank you very much. That's the end of the briefing. Thank you very much, Minister. Thank you very much, colleagues, for coming.